Y'all, we did
Everyone
it
break a
and
leg.
we're ready.
Hello, everyone. I believe we are live, and welcome to episode 1 of Fate of Cthulhu, Return of Carcosa. I hope all of you are doing well and exciting for our lovely evening of, it's not Tentacle Tuesday, it's Tentacle Saturday, but any day is a tentacle day, I think. I think. Um, I am very excited to have you all here. We've got a bunch of things to do. I want to say hello, everyone who's here. Welcome. This is, I believe, our first Saturday show at this time slot on Weave the Tale, and so thank you for being here. It's going to be exciting. Uh, I would like first, I think, to shout out our sponsors. I think that's the first thing I want to do. We could not be doing this show without the sponsorship of some wonderful people who are supporting us. And so for this season, I'd like to say thank you. Or actually, everyone here at Weave the Tale would like to say thank you to Christopher Gray, also known as the Great American Witch, who's done that. Also, these are all wonderful games. You should check out the games and the companies. Broken Dice. So they've done the Nuadan Chronicles, Black Void Games, who've done Black Void, Mighty Narwhal, who's done Mora, Smunchy Games. I lived in Germany for 5 years, so now I just make that a Schmunchy Games, but I think it's just Smunchy Games, who's done Parceling, Aracana Media, which is done Nibiru, which I believe I've kickstarted. You should check it out. Evil Hat Productions. This is an Evil Hat because I am the GM, so this is an Evil Hat. They're the ones who actually have created Fate of Cthulhu and also Fate Core, Fate Accelerated, all the Fate games, which, by the way, if you go to their website, you can get all of that basically free on their website because they've got the SRD. So you can just kind of look up all the details as you will. And then also just check out all those companies. They're pretty great. But also, we couldn't do this without them, but we also could not do this without you. And I will just say, all of you who are here watching us right now, thank you for being here. If you're watching us on YouTube, also thank you for being here and watching. If you would like to support us, there are a whole bunch of ways to do that. But before I tell you, I just want to say we're also affiliated with Grinding Coffee, which is a Black LGBT plus owned coffee business that will keep you awake and also happy with the best roast directly shipped to your house. Because we're in a sort of like a time period where people should not be running around unless they're wearing masks. People are staying home, and if you're staying home and you also want coffee, and you want coffee that is owned, that's not like a big megacorp, but like owned by a really cool sort of group of folks, you can then go and check out Grinding Coffee. There's an affiliate link in chat, which has just been posted. And if you use the discount code penny for a tail, you can get a discount there and you can get your coffee. And the coffee will keep you awake, which will make sure that you don't dream, which means you will not be corrupted by things that will be happening soon in this game. It'll be fine. Don't even worry about it. So all of you, thank you for being here. If you'd like to support us, there are a couple things you can do. You can support us by retweeting our live tweet. And as a matter of fact, we have what's the word? An incentive. If we get 20 retweets, something good will happen to our group, which, I suppose that's fine. If you must do nice things for them, you can do that, I suppose. But if we hit 40 retweets, then something good for me will happen to our players, which, I feel like as a GM, I should have nice things. Usually those nice things involve less nice things for the players, but it'll be exciting at least. We're currently at 19 retweets, by the way. And if we get 60 retweets, then something nice will happen for them again, which, seems good. So some retweeting would be lovely if you would. Our live retweet is out there. You can also tell your friends about us. You can, scrawl the yellow sign in places, and then you can sort of get your friends to join into a cult and then have them come and visit us. I think that's probably fine. Jim's not certain about that one, but I mean, just, work on it. We also have some donation options if you would like to donate. We have 3 regular donation options and 1 special donation option. And I just thought I'd let you know because you might want to help them out a little bit. If you donate $5, which is pretty pleasant, there will be an aspect that will be added to a scene. It's like a scene-long aspect, which could be anything. It could be something like, a thick fog rolls in, or it could be that the floor is slick with an unknown substance, or it could be that one of the characters is emboldened with confidence. Some kind of an aspect. Fate works. We're using Fate works with aspects, and aspects are used to sort of boost people and give them bonuses and help them get through the tough times, or make the times tougher. So $5 would give an aspect that will be for a scene. $10 will allow one of the players to remove their lowest negative consequence. Fate, unlike a lot of RPGs, does not have hit points. They just have consequences. And if you'll notice on our screen, there are you can't see them now because they're all safe, but we're going to have little skulls that pop up. And those skulls represent the consequences that they've taken. And if they take all 3 consequences, well, that's bad for them. Pardon me. So, you can donate $10 to remove the lowest consequence for one of our players. And then there's also the $15 donation, which is, in this game, it's specific to Fate of Cthulhu. Getting in contact with, magic or eldritch beings or things like that will corrupt them. And when the players get corrupted, their bodies or minds change and shift, and they get closer and closer to these eldritch beings. And if they are completely corrupted, then they become a creature, and we lose them forever. So, and we have a little corruption clock, which you can see on all of their characters' little frames. And yep, there's one right there. Oh, John just got a corruption. And when it fills up completely, then they just get corrupted more and more. And so you can, wind back their clock by one little slot for one person for 15. And those are your basic donations. And we have one special donation, one donation that is a one-time only donation. It can only be donated once. And if you notice right up here, I believe it is, there is an elder sign that is up in the corner of my frame. And that is for a miracle. If someone donates $100, that elder sign will become more visible, and there will be a miracle on the table. And when the players need a miracle, one time only, they can say, yeah, can we use that miracle? And maybe, who knows what they'll use it for? Hopefully, maybe like a bag of chips, or I don't know, probably to save somebody's life, most likely is probably what's going to happen. Or who knows? But those are our donations. And that's, I think, what we've got, sort of our big pre-show stuff. We have some disclaimers and all of that. I think I should give you some of that. This is a horror game, and so there will be disturbing things in here. It's like a PG-13 sort of a game, so it's not going to be like the worst ever. But if you are nervous about body transformations, if you're nervous about some horror, some scariness, some tension, note it. You are always welcome to step back and step outside. We, as the players, have gone through a session 0 to talk about our lines and our veils. We also will be using OK Check-in with ourselves over in chat, so that we can just check in with each other to make sure that we are safe ourselves. If you are feeling a little stressed out, mute, take a little time to go, just take care of yourself. Be well. There's also one disclaimer that is specific to this particular campaign that I want to let you all know of. And that is our great old one for this campaign will be the King in Yellow. And the King in Yellow is a great old one of plagues and disease. So this particular campaign, part of the premise is that there has been some brand new and unknown pandemics that no one has ever seen before that transform people into strange creatures, and that humanity is on the brink of extinction because of these sort of global pandemics. And so if you're in a bit of a space where you are not in a space to deal with a fantastical, otherworldly, eldritch global pandemic because of reasons, just know it, take care of yourself, be kind, be well, and I'm just giving you the disclaimer right now so you can decide what is best for you. Let me see. I think that's all I wanted to say about all of that. I believe. Yes. So I would like to, without further ado, introduce our players. If our players would introduce who they are and also who they are playing, that would be amazing. And let's start off at the top with Other Doc.
Hello. Greetings. I'm Jim. I use he, him pronouns, and I am playing Jack Vasili, who is a at one time in his life, he was a former magician, and until he was caught doing what it is that he really does, which sort of involves just gaining access to things that people aren't supposed to gain access to. I totally didn't get that from a series of movies, by the way. This was completely a thought I just sort of had rather suddenly.
When you get access to things, do you get access to things and then take those things?
Yeah, a lot of times, the things just disappear. It's just all part of the act, really, as far as anyone is aware.
And do people give you
or at least as far
permission
as
to take
anyone
those
was
things?
aware.
Do they give you permission to take those things?
Permission is such a strange and outdated concept, really. I mean, it's can you really own anything truly? It's a good question. Who really should have a thing? Say if you take a thing that is made out of diamonds, I mean, they got those diamonds out of the earth in the first place.
Right.
And so, I mean, just really, it's really just a question of like perspective, I think, when it comes to it. I mean, you can't very well put them back in there necessarily, just given the way things are at this point. So, one sometimes just has to redistribute. It's the only way.
Worrisome. And what is your character's name?
Yes, it is. So his real name is Jack Vasili. He was not known as that during the time when he was, in fact, doing that before he was caught. Before he is, but that's his real name. When he was performing, he was going by the stage name of Gideon Fox.
Oh, well, that seems like a nice stage name. I mean, who doesn't like that? Why don't we go anti-clockwise and go to our next lovely individual, JakidasH.
I was quickly looking for mine. Hi, I'm Jackie Dash. My own pronouns are she, her, and I'm playing Haley Howler Rogers. Haley is known as an influencer in a lot of places, and the next thing that she's done the fitness, she's done the Get Swole challenge. Now she is about doing top 10 scary lists. So what's more unnerving and scary than this universe that we're playing in? So she is going to solve mysteries and look good while doing them. Catch you later, Howlers.
Now I'm torn because I don't know whether or not the people in chat should be Carcosans or Howlers. This is very difficult, is all I'm saying. Why don't we continue on around to Sour Fruit Junkie?
Hi, I'm Steph. My pronouns are she, her, and I am playing Elaine Chen, who is a archaeologist who has fallen from grace due to some, they call it dark dabbling in the old ways and the old magic. So she sees and knows things, and she's really just trying to help. She needs to make it better. She really needs to.
That sounds like something bad happened in the past.
But I'm going to prevent it. It's not going to happen.
That sounds like nothing bad will happen
I'll
at
take
all.
care
I'm
of
sure.
it.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that works out. And let's go to our fourth, but certainly not our least player, Wild Engineer. Who are you playing? Who are you?
Yes, hello, I am Wild, he, they pronouns. I am playing John Robinson, he, him. John is just, the average Joe common person, very usual. They just happen to have insomnia because occasionally they dreamwalk. So, just run-of-the-mill kind of stuff, like walking and interacting with dreams that may or may not have an actual bearing on reality.
That's unfortunate. And I'm sure it's weird. because the king in yellow often just, and many of these eldritch beings just say hello to you through dreams, which I'm sure will not be an issue at all for your character who dream walks and has dreams. It'll be fine. And I am Trooper SJP, and I will be your GM for today, and hopefully also the rest of the time period, because that would be, well, I transformed into something that, well, don't worry about it. We're going to be playing Fate of Cthulhu, The Rise, The Return of Carcosa. And this is a campaign all about time travel. In this campaign, in many Call of Cthulhu campaigns, it's all about trying to stop the rise of some sort of eldritch things. They're cultists and they're trying to bring forth the great Cthulhu or who knows what. And if your heroes are successful, you can stop that from happening, and then you save the world for 1,000 years. That is not this campaign, I'm afraid. In this campaign, the great old one has arrived, and it has not gone well through humanity at all. And the last hope they have is to send people back in time to try to mitigate what happened, so that when the great old one does eventually rise, it will not be as bad, and that maybe humanity can win, can sort of fight back this great old one, because sort of fixing the power base of this thing. And so our heroes are going to try to stop something that they know is going to happen. And we will begin our campaign. So, I suppose I'll let you know what happened. It's our world, or something like our world. And in 2022, around then, a series of, well, I should say it's the year 2030 right now, which you can tell by how great the internet is, I suppose. In like 2020, 21, 22, a series of pandemics started happened. They were very small back then in 2020, nothing much to think about. Wasn't much, but it was a sort of like a hemorrhagic sort of fever where people would sort of like bleed. But it was sort of like a thing, was a kind of a small footnote in 2020. But that's when historians from today, 2030, sort of would note that back then in 2020 is when we first started seeing some of these hemorrhagic fevers. There was a bit of an outbreak here or there, but really we didn't think much about it at the time. But in 2030, which is this year, these pandemics just started getting worse and worse. People started just spontaneously bleeding. And these outbreaks started happening all over the world, and they kept mutating to multiple strains. And the infection rate would keep increasing and increasing and increasing. And the world itself, generally speaking, was weakened. People were fevered and exhausted and tired, and there was so much effort fighting these illnesses, these strange sorts of diseases that no one had ever seen before, that were behaving very strangely. That the world itself, as 2030 started, was somewhat. They did not have a lot going on in terms of resources, but then it happened about a month ago. About a month ago, in Covent Garden in London, a figure appeared. And this figure who appeared was, I suppose you could say it was a man, probably, in these yellow robes, tall, thin, gaunt, with a mask, a strange mask on their face. And at first, people thought that this figure that just appeared last month was, well, I don't know, a street performer. Probably, that's what people thought. I don't know if you heard. Maybe you had, maybe you hadn't. But there was recently, it's 2030. Recently, in the last couple of years, there's been a whole bunch of talk on the streets about people on the internet, and message boards and all that sort of thing, being a little bit obsessed with things, obsessed with this urban legend, those things that don't really exist, of something called the King in Yellow, just sort of like a strange figure, and all sorts of people on the internet were sort of obsessed with them. Sort of had to do with a play. People were wanting to do maybe a revival of this old play from the 19th century. And this figure, the King in Yellow, I mean, people were talking about them, urban legend, you know, sort of like the Slender Man, sort of like that sort of thing, but, you know, recently. And people thought that this person over there in Covent Garden was maybe a street performer dressed up like the King in Yellow. And that's what everyone thought for about 10 minutes. And then everyone started dying. This yellow mist just started emanating from behind this person's body. And as it walked through the streets of London, this mist just kept spreading. And anybody touched by this mist all of a sudden started exhibiting the symptoms of these diseases that had been spreading around for the last couple of years. But rather than with a life cycle of days, it was a life cycle of seconds. And normally what would happen with these diseases is that you would die, right? I mean, up until now, that's what happened. People died. They got sick, and it took them some weeks and weeks, and then they died. But this time they didn't die. They started, their skin started turning this bright yellow, and pustules would just start spreading across their body. And then they would just start hemorrhaging out of every orifice, just sort of blood and pus everywhere as their bodies started to become this strange color. And you might think that would be just a terrible disease. I mean, it's just a disease, right? But then other things started happening to those bodies. Like second hands would grow out of their chest. Appendages would start sprouting, and their bodies would start twisting in strange ways, and they would get longer and odd, and then their joints would bend at strange angles, and they would become something that did no longer look human. And then with these sores and strange faces, they would touch other people on the streets of London, and whoever they touched slowly themselves became transformed into one of these horrors. Whatever this was no normal disease. And then, within hours, the King in Yellow was seen in Amsterdam, Brussels, Berlin, Moscow, Bern, Stockholm, Helsinki, Edinburgh, and then sometimes this figure is in two cities at the same time, or is reported that way. I mean, that's what people thought. And in each place where they were at, it was a repeat of what happened in London. The mist, and the mist touching people, and then these bodies turning yellow and hemorrhaging, and then just going out. And then everywhere, these beings, these people that used to be your friends, your family, your loved ones, now corrupted and twisted into something beyond recognition. They all spread out like ants flooding from a nest, and they would take city after city, just killing and corrupting everyone in their wake. And by the end of the day, within 24 hours, all of Europe had fallen. And then almost all the populated areas of Asia, and then the Middle East. The longest holdouts were North and South America. They lasted longer. Canada was the last to fall. In about a month, it just took 1 month, the world as we know it, humanity, the world was just a plague-filled nightmare, and almost everyone was dead. And it looked like that was it. But some scientists had an idea. It was dangerous. It was risky. It might be our only hope. And that idea was time travel. But the time travel would have a terrible, terrible cost. But let's go back to 2020 for a moment. Just for a moment. When we find all 4 of our heroes, hopefully heroes, all 4 of our heroes on a plane. It's a small plane, not a big commercial one, but like a smaller plane flying from Montreal to Peru, Canada to Peru. It's a small flight. It probably carries, maybe 16 one of these like smaller bits. Flying down from Montreal to Peru. It's 2020. There's no plague. There's no madness. Everything's pretty. It's okay. And we have these 4 figures sitting on this plane, perhaps lost in thought, sitting next to each other. There are not many other people on the plane, and no one is close by them. You're not quite certain why, but some of the people on the plane, someone in the group of heroes, perhaps both of them, perhaps one of them, it's unclear, make other people feel a little uncomfortable around them. And people just didn't sit by this group of 4. And this group of 4 sits there on the plane, flying to Peru. I would like to ask you all what you all look like, you 4.
Well, I'm very familiar with the private plane, or at least the private plane look. So if anyone had gone up to stretch their legs or use the restroom, I took a moment to take a selfie of me with the aisle to myself. And so, I made sure I did a little bit of makeup, not too much. It had to look just natural enough. And take a picture of me looking like I'm working. I have notebook askew. I have my latte is half done, even though it's ice cold right now. And I just #blessed because I'm on the way to vacation to Peru. I've got so Haley of Haley Howlers has curly hair that's done just right, makeup. Used to be a fitness Instagram, but starting to branch out, trying to get more into that horror scene. That's where the YouTube clicks are.
Oh, yeah.
So brand name merch, but because she's going on the exploration, she's got a little bit of fitness stuff going on, and is perfectly fine not talking to anyone on the flight. Not just because she's not polite, but because we're still kind of new, we're still kind of meeting. This is a transaction to save the world, or so she's been told.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, by the way, when Haley was in the airport in Montreal, who was the last person who recognized her, and what did they say to her?
So Haley's not, her age group is, 20 to 35, no kids, not family focused. So I would say, I think not many would recognize her without her like all done up. I think she wore her hood. She probably wore a jacket in the airport just to like, even though no one might have recognized her because she's changing her look a little bit, just to make sure nobody followed. She'd rather let people know where she'd been, not where she's going.
Of course. You have to have security, you have to worry about doxing and things like that. But somebody did recognize you in that airport. One person did. Who was it? And what was the circumstance?
Yeah, what? I think it was actually one of her old friends did the fitness challenge with her. They talked a little bit. It was kind of rough because, as you know, anyone else who has a gram is a competitor. So, I think they collaborated once on, a video, and it just didn't get enough clicks for either of them. So I think it was curt but short, and they took a picture together, and it was a real fight to see who held the camera because that's where you get the best angle.
And what is this person's name?
I think this name is come off the top of my head. So, chat, if you got a better one, throw it out there. I think it's you know what? It's TT is what she goes by, but it's Tiny Teresa, and it's funny because she's all about that swole.
Oh yeah. Tiny Teresa, like huge swole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Now,
Yeah.
I imagine, I don't know where she thought you were going, where she was going, but you met at that airport at that moment, and it was a little bit of a strange thing. And I imagine as you are flying at this moment, there are probably tweets going out about you two meeting. And for all I know, I don't know what people talk about on the internet, but maybe there was some discussion about a falling out between you. And I imagine there's a little bit of gossip. People might be interested in seeing you two together again, sort of standing next to each other and like, oh, what's going to go on? And maybe they'll do a thing. But speaking of retweets, I'm just going to note that we have hit our retweet goal of our first retweet goal. We have 29 retweets. Something good will happen to our crew. Fine, something good. Now, you were brought into this when someone arrived at your house naked, and that person was Jack. Jack, describe yourself, and what are you thinking about as you're on this plane?
Okay, on the plane. Okay, so I'm going to operate under the presumption that clothing has been found sometime between then and now.
Yes.
So
yes, because for all I know, you're wearing a lot of branded Howler clothing. I have no idea.
It's entirely possible at this point. Well,
at least
so it's probably. So yeah, no, Jack is in his appears in his 40s at this point, and when he's very still, or when he's not interacting with anyone, if you see him, you almost might want to pass him by, because he is he tries to be kind of nondescript, and that's not necessarily a function of how he looks so much as something that he has learned at this point. He's very he has he's got like a 5 o'clock shadow, and sort of very shock of kind of closely cropped dark hair, blackish hair with gray highlights. And he always, when you're not interacting with him, he looks kind of, but you do look at him, he looks kind of just very tired and burned out. But when you do look at him, he immediately will spring to life, and he will start talking to you. And he'll seem very animated. And right, and on the plane, as he's sitting there, he probably has a branded T-shirt, branded Howler T-shirt, and then but over it he's acquired from somewhere a black jacket that he wears. He went for something with a lot of pockets. He tried to find as soon as he could something with a lot of pockets in it. So he's probably picked up some poor production assistant's jacket from somewhere. And he is when he's on the plane, in moments when he's not just sitting and being quietly reflective, staring out the window, what have you, he'll be sitting there playing with a deck of cards, and sort of trying to remember how certain things go, making sections of the deck of cards disappear and what have you at various points, or just finding cards in the deck, doing these things, practicing them, because it's been a while.
And at one point, the flight attendant walks up to ask for drinks, just to check in on everyone. And when the flight attendant, sort of a maybe late 20s or perhaps really mid 30s with some work done sort of gentleman, sort of approaches you, there's just something, a shudder that goes down his spine. Something seems off about you. And he doesn't stop after all and just continues on down. And he just turns instead to John, who I don't know if John is about ready to fall asleep on this plane or not, but the flight attendant goes, sir, would you like something to drink? And what does John look like, and what is John thinking about at this moment?
Well, John is not used to the whole 16 passenger plane thing. They're very much in their very comfy airplane travel things. You know, they've got their slip on loafers, they've got a hoodie with loose jeans on. They're trying very hard to stay awake. They're staring out the window, taking pictures, because they've never gone to Peru before. I mean, I'm just an average Joe. We can go to Peru on an average Joe salary. Yeah, so they're there. They just look very tired. Possibly some bags under their eyes. You know, they look like they should be sleeping. I mean, they brought the travel pillow, but they're not using it for some reason. Yeah, they're just taking the photos, and they look up to the flight attendant like, how much are drinks on this flight?
Oh, so it's $7 for a small Coca-Cola.
Seven. No, it's okay. It's okay. I brought my own bottled water.
Yes.
Do I at least get complimentary crackers or cookies or?
Oh, and he sort of pulls out like the smallest, saddest little package of Chex Mix, which is like only like this big and probably has only like 4 checks in them. You know, like the smallest little pretzel and a peanut and that thing that you're not quite certain what it is. There's like 4 little things in there, and hands you this little package, and sort of nods to you and walks by the person who had showed up at your home naked not too long ago. Elaine. What does Elaine look like, and what is dressed, of course? What is Elaine thinking about on this plane to Peru?
So Elaine has shoulder-length dark hair, and it's tied back in a very like slick ponytail. She's wearing black t-shirt, belted khaki pants, boots, very practical, and she's just scrolling on a phone that she got from this time. Is just kind of looking through the news, researching, looking, and you just see her just like the tab sign on Chrome is just the smiley face because there's more than 100 tabs open of just nonsense, and she's just scrolling.
And as you scroll, you see something that disturbs you, something that should not be. But before I tell you what it is, let's flash forward for a moment or let's go back into your memories to the future. It's 2030. Humanity's on the brink of extinction. And there is a program in a hidden spot in Canada. And you, Elaine, and Jack, you are there. People who have certain sets of skills have been recruited. People who know how to get in and out of places, who can fight, who can forge things. People who perhaps earlier in their careers might have been mocked for their studies of magic or the occult, but who now are, perhaps people are rethinking their work. There was a program to try to figure out what could be done to stop these horrors. And there was an idea. A ritual was found on sort of old tablets of stone. And this ritual, I know the idea that magic would work is strange, but this ritual, if done, could transport people into the past. It seems as if the farthest back you could go would be 30 years, but the idea happened that if we could send some people into the past, they could perhaps stop this thing from happening. And this thing happened so quickly. All this discussion of the King in Yellow and this other space called Carcosa, we're not quite certain what it is, that all emerged, just in the last 2 or 3 years. So like, 2026, 27 maybe. And the idea was there was a lot of study done by academics and historians and to try to figure out what would be the crisis points, the 4 crisis points that if we could send people back to intervene, then then we could stop what happened. And the perfect time it was decided was 2020. If we send people back to 2020 before the King in Yellow is there, before any of this has happened, then you all can do something to stop it. That was the idea. And Elaine was one of the first people who did the first ritual. She wasn't sent back. I mean, she was one of the people that was doing the ritual. She was part of the ritual process. There was a group of soldiers, experts, 10 of them. They were brought into this room, and all the people doing the ritual were surrounding them. They needed a human sacrifice, of course. That's the safest way to do it, unfortunately. And the ritual took place, and the people were sent back, and you waited, and you waited, and nothing changed. They had a mission to do things, but there was no change. The thought was that maybe bring them back to the future. If you can send them to the past, maybe you can send them to the future, bring them back and find out what happened, report back. You didn't have a ritual for it, but a little bit of experimentation wouldn't be bad. Elaine, who came up with the experimental ritual to bring people back to the present?
I think it's with the group that I was brought in with, right? Like I had the expertise and the knowledge from all the dig sites that I'd been to, all the collected old like texts and tablets and writings, but like I wasn't someone who could wield magic, right? Like I knew it in theory, but I never actually did it in practice. So I believe the ritual was made by a witch, I think. What is her name?
What is her name?
I think it's Valerie Del Rosa was her name.
Valerie De La Rosa.
And she was also like one of the last few, like the last of humanity that we came in. I think we also developed a theoretical spell, right? Because we were like, well, what if in cases like, you know, we send these people back, like we need to see if you can come back so you can run these tests. And so each person who was sent back, is it the group of 10 or just how did we decide like how many
initially, but not you all. There was just a group that was like,
no, of course
team
not.
of 10 and they'll do it, right?
Yeah. And so we sent them back with tests, each of them kind of, I think 5 with unique tests and like different spells. So we tattooed them on them to give them rituals in which like test these when you're out there. Let's see what happens. Like, can we change what's happening? And, you know, one of them is to study the chain reactions and also perhaps to get back through time. Like, what is time? How do we deal with this? What is time travel? And I think we formulated a lot of theorems and possibilities and sent them back to test them.
And I imagine you remember when the spell to bring them back was done, the ritual, experimental, theoretical, to bring the 10 back because nothing was happening and it was getting desperate. And the ritual was cast, a person was murdered to help deal with this ritual. And a soldier came back. But they didn't stay. They were sort of phased in. Renee Kane, and then she was just ripped back in time. And 2 or 3 hours later, she'd like rip forward in time again. And you'd see her in pain, and then ripped back in time. And then somebody else came in, but they were just a body where the parts didn't make sense anymore. And it became very clear that there was no bringing anyone back. They send you into the past. You just have to live through those 10 years and there's no coming back. But it also became clear that whatever happened to that team that was sent back, it didn't work. And another 10 would have to go. And this would be the last chance you had, maybe. And Jack was on that second team of 10. And so were you. And perhaps you remember the briefing when Valerie De La Rosa gave you all the briefing of each of the 4 moments in time and what you needed to do to stop it and what would happen to you. Briefing you all in that moment. She says, well, this is the last chance we have to change anything. There are so few people left. We have soldiers out there fighting, but there's not much time left. So, we have just enough here to do the ritual, and we will send you 10 back to the past to perhaps do what the other team could not do. Are you ready?
I don't think we get to say that. We don't even get to choose. It's now or never.
To leave this place? Always.
Jack, you are a man of humor in dark times, and I have always appreciated this about you.
Thanks.
So,
it's kind of all I've got left.
Well, I will give you the rules as we know them. You are not to contact your past self. We do not know what this will do to the timeline.
That's great. I don't want to talk to that asshole.
Well, hopefully this will not be a problem. When you go through, you will not be able to take anything with you. You will arrive naked. So you must find someone from the past, and you will, of course, have no paperwork that will work. So you must find someone that you knew from the past that you can rely on to give you safety. Perhaps you can use them as an ally in this moment. Choose the moments in time as you will. Stop what has happened. The instructions are very clear. Remember them. Elaine, you have the tattoo of the ritual on your forearm? Good. And you know, of course, that this ritual to take you to the past is dangerous and will affect you in some way, negatively. Then you accept this burden.
Yes.
Well,
I'm ready.
If you are ready, then be prepared. Come sit in the middle of the ritual circle. And there are you two, and there are 8 others of different ages, races, sizes, genders, all walks of life, the people they could find left who would volunteer for this. And they sit you all in the middle of this circle. And in the center of you all, there is a human being, bound and gagged, crying, on a pedestal that is the center of where all of these energies will come. And around you on the outside, there are people. The people who will do the ritual, a ritual that, Elaine, you had done once before, but now you'll be the subject of the ritual. And you're in a clean room with all white walls. And they begin chanting. They start saying these words that are in a language you've never heard of before. And sometimes it's not words, sometimes it's numbers. It's not clear what these things are, but as they chant them, you can feel, all of you, these words seeping into your skin as if they are worms. And as you hear them, your mind starts changing a little bit. Your thoughts start shifting so that you can slowly but surely understand these words, and that's probably not a good thing at all. And as they chant and chant and chant, there's a shake. And the white walls start to become translucent. And they don't see it, but you see it. All of you see it. You see eyes, giant eyes that are bright. It is... You have the name Yog-Sothoth, a creature or god or thing of unimaginable terror and corruption and evil, but a thing that controls time. And if you can just have it look at you, you could use it to go back in time. And nothing could go wrong with that, right? And as the chanting goes on, one of the people in your crowd, an old man in his 80s, goes, I don't feel good. It'll be all right, won't it?
We'll be okay.
We'll be all right?
You got this.
And he looks a bit concerned, and people start getting a little bit nervous as the chanting grows and grows, and as you start beginning to understand the words more. Just more and more you understand what's happening. And you never understood those words before, but now you start to come to understand them. Elaine, what are you thinking at this moment? As someone begins to cry.
Think she'll say to she still stands there facing forward, looking unwavering at this one glowing eye that's in front of her. Mm-hmm. And she says, don't think about what's happening right now. We're trying to prevent all of this. Remember what we're doing this for, who we're doing this for. This is not just about us or about this. We go back. We know the risks. But our other choices? It's just death here. At least we have a chance to do something. Remember that and believe in that.
And as you say that, the old man who started to sort of weep a little bit sort of steels himself. But the body on the pedestal, you can start seeing, it seems like lines in the air, or spirits, or something, an energy, something that is swirling around you all, but instead of touching you, it starts going into this body, and the body itself starts turning a little bit yellow. And then there's a shake. In this secret lab, private safe, hermetically sealed. Everything in this lab is safe from everything out there, but there's a shake, and then there's a crack. But everybody conducting the ritual, they keep chanting, because you know if you stop chanting. And then you can see a door, and that yellow mist starts seeping underneath the door. And somebody who's in the chanting circle sees it and begins to panic. And Elaine just gives, Valerie gives this person a look. She looks at you with this look that you know her, and you know this look, and you know that this is bad. Whatever it is coming into this moment. And she turns her gaze away from you towards one of the chanters who's beginning to panic, and just shoots this person a look. And they keep the chanting up as one of the doors starts being ripped apart, and these creatures starts moving forward, flooding into one of the only last safe spaces, and one of the only places where people can be sent back to the past at all, as these creatures without even bones start moving into the room, and they keep chanting, and it becomes so bright. Jack, for you, becomes so dark. And you start losing focus. Jack, your shadow on the ground, you can see it. And it starts to creeping up your leg. And it starts enveloping you. and your shadow forces itself into your mouth and down your throat as you lose vision. And Elaine, the eye of this thing seems to just come into your face. And the next thing you know, you're bleeding. Your hands are bleeding. There seems to be so much blood everywhere, and then you can see nothing. All you can hear is the sound of screaming as the ritual is completed, and perhaps whoever that you cared about in 2030 is probably gone. Haley, you're at home. It's 2020. It's a lovely day. It's bright. It's sunny. Things are awesome. What are you doing at home right now?
Well, I scheduled my posts for the weekend, so I'm looking like I'm having a great time the entire weekend, which means I can spend the weekend working. It's very hard to create and cultivate a YouTube in just general, but to completely do that after already setting yourself up as a fitness sona, it's almost impossible. So I think Haley has sent a bunch of film to her editor, and she's currently narrating to herself, or practicing narrating, top 10 lists about urban myths. And so she's going through and she's like, number 1, Halloween horror, and she starts talking about this weird haunted house that people actually die in, So she's doing that. It's going well, obviously. And obviously, because she's doing it and people are excited. The merch is going to go great. Teeth on the collar. It's going to be very cool.
Can I ask what your apartment is like?
Yeah, so she has an apartment. It's a house. She doesn't have streamer friends. It's upwards. It's maybe about 11th. It is downtown, but it's in that area of downtown that looks over to the business district. So it looks nicer than the rent is. It's all about the look and the appreciation. Very minimalist. She does have like a little box of like freebies that she got from other from promotions and from doing stuff, and she just kind of gives that to people who come to her house. So that bin's next to her. She's probably drinking out of one of those shakers with Haley Howlers on the side. It didn't go well. The collaboration didn't go well, but so she has like 50 boxes of them just in a storage room that's never gonna sell.
And you are there working on your narration, your voiceover, trying to get a good get because the thing is, people didn't really take you seriously before,
No.
But maybe this thing will work out. And there's a message on your you get like a little message that pops up. You've been tagged on something on a
Weird.
like you've been tagged on a TikTok. Like there's a little tag of you. Somebody has like mentioned you in this TikTok. It's not yours. It's someone else's.
Right.
Yeah. Are you interested?
I am. Usually I don't look at when I'm tagged in things because I'm tagged in too many. But I was looking for a break anyways, and so I think I just kind of click on it on my MacBook. Fancy.
It's Jack.
Yes.
Could you describe to me what he looks like in 2020 on this magic TikTok?
So yes, Gideon Fox on his magic TikTok is considerably more flamboyant than Jack is. He is, I think, at this time, he was probably going through a phase where he's kind of dyed these red streaks into his hair, so that as on certain stage acts, So if he is say in the middle of doing a performance of some kind, then he would he'd be there in just sort of this. He'd have kind of this almost this sort of this very bright kind of suit that that he puts on and takes off. So I'm imagining it's kind of a sort of a 3-piece suit with these highlights that sort of shine out from the different sort of area. Maybe it's like this lime pinstripe thing. That he wears, that is also set up as kind of a stage act to sort of draw attention. Works a lot with scarves and with props and things of that nature. And he will, and it's set up so that he can easily, take these things off and do costume changes if he needs to. And so he's probably, if he's performing right now, he's probably doing something where he is teleporting someone from one box to another after setting box number 1 on fire type deal.
Of course. But here's my question. For some reason, your past self, Gideon Fox, tagged Haley the Howler on this particular on fire box transportation thing. In what way is your past self being a little bit poking our Haley? A little beef? Like, in what way is that mention manifesting in the middle of this? Because your past self is not the best person ever. Like, what's going on there with a little bit of this?
Let's see. I think that probably there might have been something where there was some sort of event where where maybe like one of the last times I appeared on your channel, we did this sort of thing that involved like these flaming drinks. It was a strange sort of thing, sort of cross streaming thing. We're a cocktail hour type odd thing, and I'm imagining that possibly either something spilled or something was at the point. Something with Haley's drink just kind of like seemed to explode or something for a moment, and it didn't cause any damage or anything, but it was one of those things where she was kind of taken aback, something like that. Does that sound good?
Yes, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I've got all the details.
Yeah.
We were both
Excellent.
individually. No, this is just life. So we were both individually hired to promote a new club that was opening in the city. Obviously, me, some of my friends were going there, we're getting drinks, and like this Gideon Fox, who of course know about, decided to play a little prank. In my opinion, it was a prank. And we got flaming shots, but mine wouldn't blow out. And so every time I'd go to drink it, it would blow it out. It would not blow out. And eventually, let's say some things were burned. Bridges, Versace purses, friendships, Does that sound right for Gideon Fox? Okay.
That sounds good. Good.
Okay. Basically what it ended up with is just a small amount of people who thought I wasn't playing around, and then my followers got upset about it, and there might have been some doxing attempts, and it just is ugly, and it didn't work out, and so there's just a little bit of just a non-willingness to collaborate right now.
Yeah.
And I
imagine the tag says something along the lines of too bad at Haley isn't here to help me put this one out.
Or hashtag this could be us.
Yeah.
And as you see this TikTok that just got pinged on you, I don't know how you feel about it, but there is a a knock on your front door, kind of a heavy knock as well, like a kind of like a thumping kind of a knock on your door.
Okay, well, I probably, how TikTok's loop. I probably watched it 3 times and was pretty fussy trying to come up with a rebuttal. Like, I don't know, cool yourself down or something. I'll work out with the copy. I'll work on the copy. And so I'm kind of half absent-mindedly like looking at my phone, walking through the door. There's obviously a video set up at the ground level for security purposes. So I'm just kind of looking to see who's there.
You see, it's strange. It's Gideon, but naked and 10 years older and not looking this. Maybe it's Gideon's older brother. If that's, but it's also not looking good. Like there's like sort of injured, perhaps. Yeah, Jim.
If I may, if you have any, given what Gideon, given what Jack does and how he's able to do it, he probably would have tried to conceal himself if there's any shrubbery or anything available. But if he had noted where the camera was, he would have tried to find something, anything, a rock or something to just crawl out, please help, and just sort of have an arrow pointing to where he is, but trying not to be in direct line of sight of anything.
Wow. Okay, this is new. I'm used to harassment. I'm used to naked harassment. Usually not on my door. So I think I do like the 911 on speed dial, and because you gotta. And then I think I buzz and I just say like, "Wow, you have great editors because you look like you put on some weight, hon."
Just sort of going to go over and tap the thing. Hi, Haley. I realize how this looks, but I promise if you'll hear me out, it's going to be an incredibly good story. And he'll just sort of lean back so you can see his face in the camera. Okay, I'm here right now. You know that, right?
Yeah, obviously, yes.
Okay. Now, if you'll check my feed, you'll see that I'm also in Berlin.
And I think Haley does. I think Haley takes a moment and she looks at the feeds, and there's a live on. What does he stream on? Is Gideon a YouTube, a Twitch? Does he like?
I think he streams on YouTube primarily, but he also has his own like website that he just streams from there as well.
Of course he does, and it's got like way too much flash.
Yes.
And I honestly hate that I have that bookmarked, that page, but I think there's a little bit of like a hesitant sigh. I think there's probably about 15 more minutes of banter, of put downs of, is this your brother? Jack has to reassure that Jack has an only sibling, or but then Jack is let up.
And what do you say, Jack, when you get into her apartment? A little bit covered in blood. Most of it's not yours. After a fairly traumatic ritual, and your shadow is not present still at this moment at all. It's weird.
Yeah. So, okay. So, you know how when I think this was probably when you last saw me, you said something to the effect that the vicissitudes of my life as I've chosen it is going to lead me into the darkest place possible. Remember saying that?
I do, and I'm pretty sure I said go burn in hell, so I'm kind of still confused why you're here.
Yep. You're right on both counts, I'm afraid.
I mean, duh. But continue.
So, yeah, this is going to be kind of difficult to explain. So, and he kind of points, I think, towards say a monitor where he's currently performing. His younger self is currently performing. And he says, "That is me."
But
That
you're
was
you.
me. Yeah.
I can see the scar. That is you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but your highlights are gone.
It's been yeah. Those I hated those. Yeah, but no, it's been about a decade, and I'm here because something is going to happen.
Smash cut.
That, yeah.
Yeah, smash cut right there. Elaine comes out of Elaine's vision, sort of comes back to her, and there's just like a steady stream of blood coming from your palms, and you are next to, I suppose, 3 or 4 of the people who came back with you. Unfortunately, you are in a kind of a wooded place, and there are all these trees, and those 3 or 4 people are partially inside of those trees as they rematerialized. They're just there's branches, and they've fused with these trees and are dead, and none of them have eyes. Like, there's just smooth flesh where their eyes would have been. But you have eyes. You have eyes on your hands, and they're looking at you. Just looking at you. These eyes. What do you do?
I think it's like that wet blinking, right? And
Yeah.
I just turn my hands this way and just kind of watch them just focusing at me. It's like, oh. And they're sore. They're so sore. I can't even close them up to make them go away. They're just there. As I just kind of, I don't know what to do with them.
They blink. What do you do? You need to find the person who will help you. Who would you go to in this moment? Somebody who knew you 10 years ago, who might help you in this situation where you're at.
Let's see. Would we have at least pinpointed an area that we would land when we do these rituals? Is that something that I would have been able to write in?
Hopefully.
Correct?
Yes.
Hopefully.
They
were hoping
that they would, yes, that they would get you close to, I don't know why you put that on your form, but they would get you close to that place where your former student lived.
Right. So I know this, I kind of actually know where this forest is. So I'm in this forest, which is like a smallish park around a set of like houses in this neighborhood. And I know, I remember this is what John told me a long time ago. Well, for me, a long time ago, kind of where he was, what he was doing at this time. And I head in that direction. A little turned around on the trails, but I begin to find where the head of the trail is. Get out from the neighborhood. It's, what time of day is it? Let's see. I think it's getting to be around sunset, so it's not like full on bright and I'm not running around. I'm still trying to dodge and stay in shadows. I get around the streets. I find that cul-de-sac. And I knock on this house. Kind of old. It's dark brown, green, dark forest green trimming. And do I knock on the front door? Is that a thing I would do?
I don't know.
No, I would. No, because it's a little too much. That's being too much. I'm gonna jump through the back, and just knock on the windows. Let's see. Would I have known? I would not have known which room he's in or anything. So I think I would just start. I would find either the backyard door, the sliding window, and just like start kind of tapping at it, knocking anywhere along the windows, the walls, trailing blood, because that's not helpful.
No. John, do you live alone?
I would say normally no, but I'm in between roommates right now.
Oh. Why did your last roommate leave, and who was it?
It was this guy named Chris. He just couldn't deal with my insomnia anymore. Me being up all hours of the day. We work the same hours, but sometimes with insomnia you're just active at night, and they just couldn't deal with it anymore.
How many roommates do you go through?
Depends. There was that one year where I had that roommate who was a heavy sleeper, but unfortunately they were also just going to university, so they weren't there for long.
How old are you right now? In 2020?
2020.
Are you still in college?
No, they'd be about 26. They got a decent job, they're just trying to maintain,
There is a knock at your back door and on the windows. There's someone going around your house knocking, trying to get your attention. You don't think it's a hallucination. You think this one's actually happening. Sometimes your body just gives you micronaps even if you don't mean to. And sometimes it's a little unclear, but this seems to be real.
Mm-hmm. So I'll probably go to one of the windows, open up, and seeing Elaine there. I'm like, oh, well, now I know it's a dream. I'll just close the window and just kind of walk back. And just like muttering, like, it's okay, you're just dreaming while awake. Happens to people all the time. You know how to deal with this.
And then Elaine will hear the window. It's like, John, it's me. No, I'm not a hallucination. I know the whispers are happening. You hear them? Do you hear them yet? John.
I mean, this is awfully lucid for a dream. So I don't know why you know about that. Let's say I humor you. Are you sure nothing's gonna happen?
I can't. Something bad is going to happen, John. But I think we might be able to stop it. I need your help. But I can't make promises. I can't make that promise.
All right, on the off chance that this is not a dream, I'll let you in. I swear to God, if you disappear, I'm gonna have to actually get some sleep. And I'll just walk down and open the back door, and we're like, you don't even have clothes on. How is this not a dream?
I can explain.
Like, just hold on. I'm gonna close my eyes. Let me grab you something real quick.
Just throw a blanket from the window. It's fine. It's also cold. Just throw a blanket. It's fine. Something you don't care about. It's fine.
Start tossing stuff out the window.
And she looks older than you remembered her from the last time you've seen her, and I mean, it's probably been a couple years since you saw her last anyway, but she looks significantly older and like a lot has happened,
All right, come on in. Just open the back door. I'm like, Is that enough? You feeling all right?
This is fine. Yeah.
You actually managed to pick up a blanket, so I guess you're real.
Just like, if you get some like hot water, my hands are just aching. I need to dip into something warm. And so like you can see like there's this dried blood down her hands where she lives. It's like kind of like closed up near her. I think I also want to add, I think the last time you saw her, she was teaching one of the classes of like, I think the archaeology in Peru, I think is the class that you're taking. And she stopped showing up towards the end of the quarter. And so you had a guest professor for the rest of the year after that. And that was about probably your last year there, last courses that you took. And she says, yeah, thank you. Like just some hot water to just to soak my hands. They're just, yeah, it's just, forest.
Do you maybe want to take a bath or shower or something? I can gather up some clothes real quick. I mean,
Yeah.
You look kind of rough there.
Yeah, a lot's happened.
Yes, just down the hall to the right.
Thank you.
I might just go grab clothes while Elaine deals with that.
And of course, I imagine there was conversations had among all four of you, but that was in the past. In the present, you are all on a plane heading towards Peru. And how you got that plane, that has to do with a boon that chat gave you through their retweets, which is very exciting for them. I appreciate that very much. We're at 32, which means they got a boon, which was for the 20. They're going to get a bane at their 30, and you can give them another boon at 40. But my question would become, how do you get this? How do you get on this plane? How do you all get these plane tickets? What happens to have that happen, that you all get on these plane tickets in this really nice sort of charter plane?
I have an idea. If there is interest in it, there is this. Let's just say there was a network that I was a part of where we had to sometimes move objects, have them disappear, move people around, that kind of thing. And I feel as though perhaps this might represent me taking advantage of that. And being able to, through that, get a hold of a private jet.
And I imagine there was a sort of a conversation that was had in a corner somewhere. And when you get to this airport, there are no questions. You don't even go through security. And they just kind of like walk you to the side onto this plane. And as you're flying in, right before we take break, you remember the briefing that Valerie had given. She said that there was an archaeological discovery that happened in 2019, 2020. It was not big. There was a discovery in, and she said, as you remember sort of sitting in this briefing room, as she was telling you about one of these 4 missions you would need to undertake, and I imagine this is information that you had given the other 2, she says, as Dr. Chen knows, Professor Chen, there was a series of archaeological sites from a lost civilization that began to be discovered in 2020. Mostly it was just potsherds and some evidence of city streets or foundations here or there, in different parts of the world. But we found it very interesting that these 10 years ago that these sites were all linked together, but they were all over the world. That similar potsherds were found in China, as they were also in Portugal, or also Tierra del Fuego. We thought this was very interesting, and we linked them all, the archaeologists, but there was not much. But everyone thought this was interesting, and then Well, and then 2019, the site in Peru was found. It was this undiscovered cave system was found. And underneath in these caves there was 100 acres of a city, an ancient city, but there were streets, buildings, and artifacts in the most remarkable condition. And what was so strange was that this site was related to all these other little places that we found. And also so strange is that, according to the scientists at the time, that this was unrelated in the architecture or the style of anything we'd found in Peru. It was nothing like Machu Picchu, of course. It was completely different and alien, but it was clearly related to these other sites. It was so strange. But also, it seemed as if this place was maybe Bronze Age, but there were evidences of gas lamps in this strange city. Well, I mean, no one really talked about it so much in 2020 at the time. It was just this small thing. It was important in the archaeological circles, but it did not make mainstream press so much. It was something odd. But as you all know, 2 weeks ago, here in 2030, hundreds of these corrupted creatures poured out of this cavern, and they just then overran the surrounding countryside. And then that is what started the fall of South America, when hundreds and hundreds of these creatures, these beings, corrupted, came out of this cave complex. And so we think that this archaeological site is something, a link to a city that we have just learned in the last year called Carcosa, that is somehow related to this king in yellow. And your mission is to go back to this site before it is able to awake, and to just bury it, blast it, destroy this cave entrance, make it so that whatever it is that was in there that comes to be there now cannot emerge. If you can destroy the entrance to this cave entrance, then you might help us all in the future. It's very small, so it should not take much to make it impassable. And it's also very remote, and no one is talking about it. So in the past, it should be simple to do so. Sneak in there, destroy this cave entrance, and make it so that these creatures cannot come out as they did 3 weeks ago. It is just, there's only 1 or 2 teams there in this site, so archaeological teams. So the security should be very lax. There should be no one there. So if you can destroy the place where the kings corrupted will manifest now, if you can destroy this, then South America will have a chance of surviving. So this is one of your 4 missions. And if you remember, when we left the plane, Professor Elaine Chen was scrolling through the internet. And as you are scrolling, you see news about the site in Peru. As you hear, "Everyone, put on your seatbelts. We are now landing. We are now landing." And as you scroll through, you see the news of this site, and it's everywhere on the internet. And it says, this site was found, 5,000 acres of a huge space. And you see footage of the Peruvian military there at this space, and doomsday cultists with signs saying the end of the world is nigh. And everywhere in the news, it says, this is the city called Carcosa. And that is not a name that anybody knew in 2020, and you don't know why they know it now, because in your memories, nobody knew that name, and nobody was talking about this place, and it was not 5,000 acres, and there was not news teams, doomsayers, the media, the press. Everyone is there, and something is wrong. And with that, we're going to take a 5-minute break to stretch our legs, catch our breath. Everyone, stretch your legs, get some water. We will be back in 5 minutes when what they thought was history seems not to be history anymore. 5 minutes. Enjoy your beverages. and welcome back to the second part of episode 1 of Fate of Cthulhu, Return of Carcosa. Our heroes, 2 of whom are from the future and 2 of whom are from the present, or it's their present and their past, you know how it is, have come together to try to stop the rise of the King in Yellow and the destruction of humanity through this great old one. We sort of to see how they all got to sort of this moment, got together, and now they're on this plane, and they're a private plane that Jack was able to get through your retweets. A private plane that got them through. Going to note this, since you didn't go through security, if there are these things upon you that you figured might not have gone through security, that means you can have them. As they are going to arrive at this small, out-of-the-way dig site in Peru, in the countryside of Peru, not like maybe 40 miles from Machu Picchu, which was in the normal timeline about like 100 acres and kind of small, but Professor Chen has learned is not what is happening now. Before we dive in, I would just like to remind you all that if you would like to help our heroes, you can do so. We have a retweet situation at 20, 30, and 40. They've got their 20. The 30 is something bad will happen, and it will. And if we hit 40, we're at 35, then they'll get a good bonus. There are also something going on exciting for resubs and subs. But if you would like to, you can spend a $5 donation, which goes to help support the cast, the show. We can then add an aspect to the world, to the scene. And an aspect are all sorts of things that could be helpful. Like, for example, having dynamite could be an aspect, or a dark fog, or, everybody's irritable. That could be an aspect for unknown reasons. So for $5 for a donation, you can give them an aspect. For $10, you can help them clear one of their consequences. Luckily, they do not currently have any. For $15, you can help them turn back their corruption clock. Luckily, right now, they've not run into anything corrupting at the moment. And for $100, they can go and get a miracle, which is over there, which they can only one time only, which they can cash in at one point in time during our campaign for a miracle. And so, with that, let us begin back in as our plane lands and our 4 heroes are going on vacation in Peru. And if I recall correctly, Professor Elaine Chen in the past, also, I see you, Hype Train. I see you. We've just hit subs, by the way. Hello, subs. Hey, subs. I think you all. Ooh. Well now. We have got some things that'll happen for that one. But Professor Elaine Chen, who exists in 2020, is currently at this dig site, or at least she was at one point in time. The other Professor Chen. And so I'm sure nothing bad will happen with her old self there with the new self. So, what do you all do? You've arrived. I turn it over to you.
How arrived are we talking? Are we talking airport? Are we talking behind the bushes of the entrance to the dig site?
Airport? Because look, I don't want to put you at the dig site right now without any warning or prep. Not that anything bad would happen there, but I just want to give you the chance to, I don't know, do whatever you want to do in case you want to do a thing before I put you in a place that will not at all be dangerous. Because I care.
I guess at the baggage claim, if there's a baggage claim, John's like, so since we're in Peru, do you think we can get some paella? I went to Trip Recommender. They said there's some really good paella places around here. I mean, you should think we'll have time. I'm sure we'll have time, right?
I mean, that does sound good, but oh god, they had music on the plane. I miss music. We should probably focus, though. I guess maybe
This
just
is not a
little
vacation.
Bit. Yeah, you're right.
And listen, anytime you go somewhere for work, it's 2 days work, 5 days picture work. We're gonna do the vacation sides, and everyone's gonna smile.
No, it's different this time, and you see Elaine just like scrolling and looking while talking and kind of just waiting. She packed extremely light, and she's just waiting for all of you.
I don't remember hearing in the news about this thing happening until this isn't supposed to be happening yet, is it?
They also called it Carcosa. Nobody's supposed to know that. Jack, nobody knows that here. How?
Huh. Who are they
this time?
You have just gotten your second mechanical or story help from subs. I've got 2 of them waiting for you. Just know it. Thank you for those subs, by the way. Go ahead.
I mean, are you sure you have your timelines right? Because it could be like my dreams where things are slippery.
Slippery might be a good word for it. Elaine, what do you think's going on here?
Burrowbound. It's also much bigger than before. I know it's different, but In my searchings, can I figure out where the name Carcosa has come from? Besides all the Wikipedia articles of, like, you know, Slender Man nonsense and stuff, is there anything that pops up for me?
I will need, well, let's say you have a choice of either academics or lore. They will get you different things.
I think I will be using academics for this because it's like, it sounds like it's actually, because like, depends like if that word is actually thrown around in the scientific community or not. Is it being thrown around by like noted like archaeologists and doctors that I've known in the past? Okay, yeah, I'll definitely do academics.
Want to roll for. Yeah, and if anybody wants to roll other things, let me know, because what you find out, if you want to find out information, the skill you use will impact what kind of information you get. That's good. That's good. That is good enough. You just needed a 2 to ask me one question of an academic variety. Now, I will note, since your difficulty was a 2, it wasn't too hard to find out information, you have a choice. You can spend one of your fate points, if you like, to bump that up to a 5. And if you succeed by 3, in this game, if you succeed with whatever your task is by 3 or more, you succeed with style, which means you could ask me 2 questions, or you could ask me 1 question and get a boost when you're working on, when you're sort of acting on the information, you can get a +2. It's up to you.
Let's see. But
you have to spend one.
Nothing bad will happen, right? I feel in this instance, I will use a fate point. I will ask 1 question, but I'll take the boost for later.
Perfect. What is your question?
Yes. Okay. I think. Where is the source, the scientific source for the term Carcosa? Like which paper, who published it? Like who published the word Carcosa?
That is a great question. I'm going to give you, Wild Engineer. I'm seeing one more mechanical bonus here. I am appreciating this very much. What I'm going to do right now, our players will be able to see it. You won't right now, but I'm going to put 3 fate points on our little player map, because our players have a little map that are, we'll call them sort of like representations of these sort of group fate points or sort of group bonuses that they can cash in for either some other kind of story benefit, or they can use it as a fate point. So they have got 3 hanging out there for them right now. And I'm going to just give a boost right there. So you have there's a bit of a trickiness here, because you are studying through the internet right now, and it doesn't fit with what you remember. What you remember, because you have been keeping up on this, you're a scientist, you're a professor, you study, you're a researcher, and you remember in the regular timeline that there wasn't much discussion about Carcosa at all within the scientific community until like 2 years ago. So like 2028, like in your timeline, that basically what you remember is that it started off, there was discussion about it in some kind of public online, you don't know, that wasn't like your world. You know, that wasn't what you were sort of really paying attention to. You're more science. You're more sort of like, you know, science rather than some other kind of thing. And there was something going on in the public, but you weren't really paying attention. But you remember that there was an archaeologist who had published a paper on these potsherds that they'd found in a small site that was in. It was very strange because you remember. Do you know the sort of like cave paintings that are in France, like in that deep cave? There's like sort of like Neolithic cave paintings where they had gone in and they'd found these potsherds from this new civilization that no one had discovered before, but no, people have been in that cave a lot and there were never any potsherds there. And so they had sort of written about this and everybody sort of discredited them because they thought they must have like placed it. They were like, oh, this must have been like 3 years ago. And this scientist wrote this paper. Everybody thought they were silly. And their name was, sort of they went by the name of Grenier. Just one last name is what they used. It was like Grenier. It's like T Grenier. It's like a first initial only. And they wrote this thing. They were completely laughed out of the scientific community, but then they kept working on these things, sort of trying to pull these things together. And they were the ones in your timeline who, as far as you remember it in your history, who had put out a paper saying that they believed that that some of these sites were linked from different countries, and that it was a civilization that they believed was called Carcosa. That's what you remember. It was this T. Grenier. But you also recall that one of the reasons why you know of T. Grenier was because of Valerie de la Rosa, your witch friend, who had consulted with T. Grenier. And so Valerie had sort of mentioned T. Grenier to you. But right now, today in 2020, as you are doing this research, the words Carcosa are being mentioned in scientific articles now, including in an article written by a Dr. Elaine Chen that was just published recently, like within the last month or so. A Dr. Elaine Chen wrote about this site and said that this place is clearly a city named Carcosa because there are there's like signs and carvings that it's and it was sort of like this big deal because this Dr. Elaine Chen, who's on a leave of absence from the University of Montreal, had been doing work decoding and decrypting and trying to translate some of these signs and symbols in this place. But you don't remember writing that article. And I would like to shout out Kitchen Bratlin and also Wild for those gift subs. Thank you very much. And could you, for me, make a will defense roll? The difficulty is only a 3, because this is just a little bit creepy for you. Elaine, it's not a big deal. Just, roll better than a 3. with your will?
Oh.
Oh, okay. Cool. So would you like to spend a fate point? Or would you like to, what would you like to do with that? Because currently that's failing, which means you're going to take 2 shifts of stress, mental stress. You can just take it.
Okay.
If you'd like. It's up to you.
I feel having mental stress for the worst horrors that I might be facing might be important.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it'll heal later.
It'll heal later.
It's up to you.
I think I would be I'm feeling stressed, so I think I will take the 2 mental, and we'll see how it goes, because I think that would be incredibly jarring for Elaine. I don't think there's any way that she would, I think, push through that. I feel.
Yep.
Because this is not supposed to happen. It's just not.
It is not.
Yeah.
It is not.
Yep.
And so what do you do? And by the way, anytime there's a 5th action I like to use called the discover action, and whenever you want to get information about something, it's an optional move. If you ever want to get information about something, you can just do a discover, and you can use whatever skill you want. But whatever skill you use will impact what kind of information you get. So, like if you use mechanics, then you would get mechanical information. If you use academics, right? So Elaine was using academics to figure out what was going on with academics. Now Haley might also do some work on trying to find about Carcosa, but maybe she would use a different skill, performance or whatever, and she would get maybe different information, right? So, you can sort of figure out how you want to do that. If you fail, then I get to ask a question. If you succeed, you get to ask a question. Succeed with style, you get 2 questions or a question and a boost. If you fail, then I get to ask a question that then people who may not have your best interest at heart will know that information. That's all. That's it. So you were at the airport.
Actually, I would like to do a quick, I'm actually trying to create an advantage. I would like to use my contacts to try to find not a hideout per se, but a locale where we can plan, and maybe perhaps the government doesn't know about it. I will be taking photos around it, to post after all this is done, but a place where we can really start and feel comfortable, right?
And I imagine you're going to want it to be, how close would you like it to be to the dig site?
Well, I'm guessing that the dig site is not near a metropolis, right?
No.
So I'm guessing I'm going to check the Airbnbs so that we're, maybe 10, 15 miles. That seems doable. And I'd like to use my contacts for that if possible. Because
yes, please. That's yes,
okay.
100%. 100%. That is very much, and I feel like that's a 3. That's a good challenge. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna drop. I don't think I need to use an advantage, because what's the worst that can happen if I fail?
But you also can decide afterward.
Right.
That's the best thing about fate. You don't have to spend it till afterwards because you're like, oh.
And I don't have to. Sorry, this is now asking a Roll20 question. I don't have to put in anything additional unless I'm adding, so I can just press roll, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, cool. No!
So, let's discuss what happens when you fail a roll. It's not a big deal at all. You're just looking for contacts, right? To get a place to stay in. So, here are your options. Option 1, if you have a relevant aspect, you can spend a fate point to get a +2. If you have multiple relevant aspects, you can spend multiple fate points to get multiple +2s, or to re-roll. That's all good. Or you can choose to succeed at a major cost. And that's super fine.
I feel like I'm going to narratively, I would like to re-roll. Because a major cost means like I come back with bed bugs. So that's the worst.
That wouldn't be a major cost. I feel like a major cost would be something like you do get a place, but it's not as secure as you think it is. Or
so I'm
yeah. Like that. Like,
I'm definitely gonna use a I'm sorry, I'm gonna use a fate point. Gonna just drop that down real quick. Hey,
sure.
Put it on the credit card. I don't need those fate points later.
What is the aspect that you're invoking? Why are you able to like reconcentrate on this one? What about you?
I think so. What I did is I put out to there's like Discord for everyone to like, what's the coolest thing? Like, hi, what's the greatest trend? And instead of, and I went to them and they're like, these are the best ones for like views and for likes. And now I'm like, all right, this isn't working. I'm going to actually just put it to the internet. So I'm now going to just, I don't know if, put an Instagram post of me in the airport. Like I step away and I'm like, hi, I'm here. Where should I go? Who has a good location for me? So I'm being a little bit more riskier by pulling in a larger grouping of information, but I'm not going to I'm going to the internet.
Yeah. So you're using your famous online influencer aspect to be able to get yeah, that makes sense. Re-roll it.
Okay. And so I just gotta re-roll it. Cool.
Yep.
It went up. I'm okay with it.
That's a 1. That's still failing by 2. So again, you have some choices. You can, if you spend another fate point, leaving you with what, 1 left, you can get that up to a 3, but you need a different aspect to allow you to do it. And that only puts you at a tie.
I'm just gonna take the whammy. I think
Are
this
you?
is. I've already used one. I think this is just the old gods deciding that we don't have a comfortable place.
Let me just ask. Would you like to succeed at a major cost? Because I'll give you a place. It'll be fine. Would you like a place?
Yeah, I do. I want to succeed at a major cost.
So you put out your poll and you get a message back, and the message is like, hey, just like a little message. Hey, Howler, I'm one of your biggest fans. I've got a place for you. I know a place. I've been hanging out here over here, like there's this dig site, and I've been like watching it, and I figured I knew you would be here eventually because I know that you're trying to do more like creepy, spooky things, and so I just figured if I just went out here and like stayed, you'd show up, and so like you can stay with me.
You know what? Let's do it, is what I guess I say to that. Hey, y'all, I got 3 friends. Nothing bad's gonna happen.
And
I don't know if I tell... Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think I might just say, hey, I found a place really close to the dig site. There's already some guests there, but they're gonna squeeze us in. To be super bohemian.
Sorry, I was just too excited about that. And you have a place like 10 miles from the dig site with somebody who's a big fan of Howlers, a big fan, and who was just waiting for her to arrive. It won't at all be upsetting. Do you want to do anything else before you get there to the dig site, to this place?
To do something. Yes.
Please tell me.
Question: is it too late to lose a refresh to give myself an additional stunt?
Yes, for now, but you can get it at the end of the episode.
Cool. Okay, I want to think hearing Professor Chen speaking, I'm like, Carcosa sounds so familiar. Oh, damn it. I'm going to look through my supernatural dream journal to see if there's anything that happened while I was sleeping at some point.
Yes.
Would that be an Investigate or lore, though? That's fine.
That'd be lore. Please. But you would get a +2 certainly for your stunt. 100%.
Okay.
Definitely. And what is your stunt? Because maybe the people in chat would be interested in knowing.
Yes, this is a stunt is a supernatural dream journal. Because I'm a dreamwalker. When I research through my supernatural dream journal, I get +2 to creating an advantage if it relates to my dreams.
Yeah, I think you should roll that lore and see what happens.
So I add in +2.
Let's
see if that worked.
Yeah. Huh. That's a legendary success. Yeah. So you're all at the airport right now? Is that right? You're sort of getting in a car moving towards this sort of place that you're going to be staying at that you haven't visited yet, and this is pretty great because nothing bad's going to happen. And John is looking through his dream journal. He's got this little journal, I imagine. What does it look like, this journal of yours? Oh, you're muted.
There. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's something I keep on my person close to me just in case I happen to fall asleep or take a nap somewhere. It's like kind of just standard, like kind of like a notepad, small spiral bound that I can fit into my pocket. But it's got my shorthand written in it, so I can be as detailed as I know as possible. There's always just like a messy scribblings of just waking up, writing down things, trying to remember as much of the dream as possible.
So you start reading this journal, looking through it, and what does your handwriting look like? How would you describe John's handwriting?
It's kind of like it's almost like a mix between cursive and just plain standard block lettering. Just sometimes there'd be, if there's any drawings that could, small sketches that if it sums up better than words, and just it's not like I write on the line, to just be all around trying to use as much of the page as possible. Maybe even arrows and little things. If I hear noises, or like I heard this noise in the distance, or these people were here, and things like that.
Your dream journal, you're following it in, and of course dream journals are so strange because they sort of go back and forth, and you start moving into the middle, and the handwriting changes. It doesn't look like your handwriting anymore, or sort of maybe it did, and there's all of this writing in there. At first it doesn't really, it just says Carcosa, Carcosa, the king is coming, the king is coming, and it just seems like the ramblings of a madman in not your handwriting, but maybe it is your handwriting. But then as you sort of flip through, and there's like a couple of pages of this just taking up all of the spaces in this cramped small writing, but as you sort of keep moving on, it starts becoming more coherent, and you start reading a diary of sorts about someone who seems to be maybe you. It's unclear, but it's about someone who's describing their life in the city of Carcosa. And they talk about plagues coming, terrible plagues, and people suffering. And the king, their king spoke to them. There were riots, protests, because of the suffering of the people. And the king came forward and said that they would protect us all, us being you, the citizens, that they would make this right, that all of the diseases and the harm would stop. And you see yourself writing about the king would make a deal with a god to protect the people of Carcosa. And then it's unclear what's being said. It seems to be not in a language you understand. But then there's something along about it stopped. You are no longer affected by the plagues because you are no longer in bodies that make sense. And you describe being transformed slowly into something that could never be impacted by whatever these plagues are, that you would now be safe. And then your handwriting gets more and more unclear. And then you say, the king has contacted us again, and we will have our home again. And then it seems as if maybe you're not a person anymore, but maybe you are the city, Carcosa? That doesn't make any sense. And it just says, in your own handwriting, I hunger. I'm so empty. I must have more citizens. More. And then there are these lines and scratches that seem random, but you get a sense that it's a city map, but it's a city map that does not make any sense. You get a sense that perhaps the city itself can move, that cities, districts that are in one place can be another place. And you keep seeing something in your notes, something, it's a symbol, that when you try to look at your notes, it's not there anymore. But there's something dangerous in the city. And you think the city is alive. And you don't know who wrote this at all. Could I make a will defense save from you? The difficulty is 4, but you are going to get an advantage, which you can use now or later, it's up to you, which represents your insight into Carcosa, this Carcosa. And it will be, you have 2 free invokes that you can use whenever you need to when dealing with Carcosa, because of this strange dream journal that you don't think you wrote. Please make me a will defense.
That's just a standard will roll, right?
Standard will roll.
Okay. Let's go with that. Oh. Just.
Indeed. Tell me about how it is that when you read these things and see these things in your own almost handwriting, that it doesn't shake you to your core. How is that?
Because it's just a dream. I mean, dreams aren't real, you know. I mean, just because I dreamt it up doesn't mean it's going to happen or did happen. I mean,
right, of course. It's just a dream. Yeah, of course. And as you drive into outside of the city and into the jungle, you move closer and closer to this dig site. But first, of course, you have to make it to your bed and breakfast, the place where you'll be staying. And you arrive. It is a small sort of like a bungalow. It's like a bungalow, I would say. Probably like 2 rooms, 1 floor, stucco. It's humid here. It's hot. It is. Oof. This is not the most fun. And I imagine you knock?
I think so. I think I'm like, make sure we're all visual. And I think during the time, I'm just like, it's very rustic. Last minute we pulled it together, and this is going to make a great set of fleets. No, wait, sorry, that came out the wrong year. Instagram stories.
And when you knock, there's a moment, and the door opens. And inside, waiting for you, is the person that you spoke to on the phone. John, it's someone that you know.
Oh dear.
Someone close to you. Maybe you have not seen this person in a while, but who is this person?
That's an excellent question. This is someone who lives here?
It's a person who is here, who came here. Came here for the event, perhaps to meet Haley.
Okay. This is... Let's see, if this is someone close to me who is also a fan of Haley, it's probably someone that we know through various streaming activities, various online activities. If this is someone who was close to me, then sure, let's dive in. Let's say this is an X. And let's see. Let us find an interesting thing that I can use here.
We've also hit 40 retweets,
so
that will probably be very useful right about now or soon.
I think we shall. I think this will be someone who, identifies she/her, and it's we'll give her the name Aura. A-U-R-A.
A-U-R-A
for the first name, yeah, and let's see. Last name. Let's go with Collazo, Aura Collazo.
Aura Collazo. And there she is. She's probably 28. She's got sort of like a olive skin. She's dressed all in black. She has a tattoo of Gideon Fox's sort of like symbol on her outside forearm. She's wearing short sleeves. And she smiles so broadly when she sees Haley. So broadly. She's so excited, and she smiles and she looks at Jack, and her smile falls a little bit. And she says, "Well, I didn't know that he would be here. Come in."
Thank you so much for your hospitality. This is so nice, and I'm very excited. I mean, this urban myth of this Carcassonne over here is very, very cool. Can't wait to go explore it a little longer.
And when you walk into the room, there's a computer, 4 monitors, very good internet. The walls are covered in photographs of the opening of the place, costume design sketches, lots of costume design sketches, set sketches. It looks like a play. It looks like Aura is planning a play. And there's a figure, long yellow robes. And Jack and Elaine, you know this figure. Nobody at this time should know this figure, but you know the figure. Long yellow robes, a pale mask. This is the king in yellow, the star. And they're all of these sort of just, it looks like she's trying to plan a play, maybe, designing it, doing tech, but it's everywhere. It's all just bits. And Elaine, you see a picture of yourself, your other self, in one of the photographs at the mouth of the entrance to this site on your way in, just with other people. And John, you're there too, but you knew you weren't there. You're in that photograph as well, going in with Professor Chen.
So weird.
Can I ask for a point of clarification? Just because I'm in the room and I'm looking and I'm noticing everything and I'm gushing about how cool it's gonna be and how where's your GoFundMe? And is the picture of Elaine the one from 2020, or is this the 2030s that went back in time? Similar. I'm assuming John is then the 2020 as well there. So it's like the okay.
So these are the 2020 versions of themselves, but John, the 2020 version of John is here right now. So that's weird. That's weird. But Elaine, you don't see a John in that photograph.
Oh. Okay. So I only see myself there.
You only see yourself. You don't see John there at all.
Okay. So then that doesn't concern me as much, because I think that would be like the immediate like, oh no, something is wrong. Something has gotten to me at this time. So I'm just going to like whoop that. I think at some point I'm going to talk with Jack, because this play is a big no-go. So if anyone else has some other conversations, that's what I'm going to jump into in a second.
Right now, Jack is very distracted, just so you're aware.
And your ex is acting like you don't exist right now.
Jack is right now just sort of kind of just watching things she does, because and he's just kind of like he's kind of on the verge of tearing up actually a little bit, because he remembers reading about how she died. And this was like one of his big regrets that he had. That kind of was a thing.
She was not obsessed with the King in Yellow back when you knew her then. This is not what was happening with her at all.
There was a point where he started on a path to just sort of really dig into the Gideon Fox identity. And he took her with him down that path, and then kind of basically, when he was done with her, he sort of moved on because he was a different person by then. So he later had some remorse for it and had thought about trying to get back in touch with her. But then the plagues were happening, and then he was going to try to find, then he got arrested. He was in a federal penitentiary for a while, so that was a problem. But he did manage while he was there to get the news stories, and he saw that she had died. And it was very crushing.
We just got 500 bits, which is going to give us an aspect for this scene. I feel like Kitchen Bratland loves me very deeply because Kitchen Bratland said the aspects for me. So the aspect is going to be... I want to frame it just right. The aspect is going to be ghosts from the present will be the aspect. Is the aspect that will be in this scene, including when you hit the dig site. We're just going to have some ghosts from the present. It's just going to be here. Just here. Your shadow, Jack, never gets close to her no matter where you stand.
Yeah.
When you walk, your shadow just moves so that it never overlaps with her at all. Other people may not notice this, but you notice your shadow moving slightly independent of you to avoid her.
I'm just sort of, I'm closing my eyes and kind of whispering to myself, and maybe only someone standing like right next to me would hear it. It's sort of like, it's all right. It's all right. I feel the same way. It's okay. It'll be okay. We'll get through this.
And she is so excited to see you, Haley. And she puts her hand on your hand, and it's cold. Like, it's very, very cold. Even though we are in Peru, and it's quite warm here, but her hands are so cold. And she just says, I knew that you would save me, she says with this little smile.
I mean, my blog's gonna save everybody. I can't wait to just get the 10 scariest facts of Carcassonne. You know what I mean? We're gonna detail this place, and I think you're gonna be very helpful. And I'm just gonna lean into this. I think flattery will get you everywhere with Haley. So I don't think I've pinpointed that this is a problem yet. Like, there's a play that's going up, big fan of small productions, like, love all this. Haley's doubling down. Why was she so worried earlier? I think she takes a look around the room, and she could tell that, like, people are kind of getting tense, looking at photos, talking through plans to themselves, and I think Haley's going to try to help everybody by being like, let's talk about this in the other room, so that everyone can calm down a little bit. And I think, you know what, everyone's got their own things about being cold. Maybe they got one of those magnet bracelets, prove that circulation.
Yeah. I have a quick question for you. Just a real quick question. You know, you have an aspect, which I think is really interesting. You know, to drive clicks, you need to be, you know, over the top and be the first on the scene. that's one of your trouble aspects. I just have a quick question. Would you like a fate point? I'll give you one if I could just invoke that trouble aspect to give you trouble.
I mean, look, we
have
showed up
to.
at this place and it's not even a problem, and now you're gonna give
Right?
me a fate point for getting what I want?
Yeah.
I'm all about this. I'm
Sweet.
all about
I'm
this.
I'm just gonna give you a fate point just for free.
Apologies to everyone in the group, but I'm all about this.
And so she says, because it looks like you're gonna go somewhere, right? That doesn't seem exciting. And she says, wait. Could you do me a favor? You don't have to pay me anything to stay here at all, but I need you to do something for me. I have a scoop.
Yeah.
I would like you to, and she brings out her phone and she sends you a little file. This is my interpretation of the play, The King in Yellow. I've been working on it for so long. But I'm not famous like you are. If you could just post this video from your site, then everyone will see what I've been making, and it will make such an impact on the world. Could you post it for me? And of course, it would be an exclusive for you, and you'd be famous because no one's really put it out there on the internet yet. And if you would, it would help so much.
I'm just gonna ask a quick question. Did I at all get briefed about this King in Yellow? Is that a flag word for me, or was I kept out of this loop and I don't know what that word means?
You're gonna have to ask your best buddies.
Yeah, I think the big highlights. I probably said some of the big highlights. So King in Yellow is definitely in there. I might have tried to shelter Haley from too many of the really bad details, but yeah, I'd have mentioned that at least.
But this is what the compel is for.
Right. I think what's gonna happen is that Haley's definitely gonna send some files to her editor to talk about going into this place, and I think that file is going to be like, hey, I also got this scoop about this big thing. Can you add a teaser? So I think the I'm giving you a gift now. The video is getting sent to her editor, but when it drops is unknown to Haley.
Nice.
And that is the trooper gift of I will take that fate point, but that dropping of the video is only going to be relevant to when the editor wants to slide it in. So like for Haley, she's done her job. She's sent it in. It's all good.
Tasty. That is your present. You get a free fate point, and the world will just know a little bit more about the King in Yellow real early. It'll be fine. What do you want to do? Here you all are in this room with your site not far away, and her monitors have got up like news feeds of this dig site and all the activity happening around it, and the entire place is just full of obsession and chat going up, as if like imagine you were on Twitch. Just like this is like to use your imagination. Like imagine you were on Twitch, and there was like a chat window with people, chatting, and like the chat goes up, and there's just all discussion of the King in Yellow, the play, the art, and everyone's ideas about how to just realize this. And has anyone seen the original script, and where can we find it? Can we get the original script? And it's just nonstop. You don't know how many people are on that chat just talking about this art they would like to bring to the world?
I think John is walking around doing the normal, scope a room out before you settle down kind of thing, and he stopped at this picture with him and future Professor Chen, and
Current Professor Chen. This is her from now, right? It's 2020 Professor Chen and 2020 you at this dig site in this photograph.
Oh, okay. So,
but you were not in
John
class with her like 4 years ago, 5 years ago was the last time you were in classes with her?
Yeah. Was it Yura? Was it? This is an interesting photo. Do we know each other by any chance? Because I don't really remember coming here before, or this looks kind of recent, but it's probably just weird lens filter or something. But,
So is Steph asking a question? I think trying to wonder if Elaine would have been here at the time, and I think I chose to come out to Peru or to offer Peru as a suggestion because I knew I was probably at the other sites, but this is clearly not true, right?
Yeah.
So I think like Elaine is just staring and just like, what do you? This is. I mean, I'm not even supposed to be here. When I was here, like on my past, I was in the other sites. I was traveling to China and digging around and like clearly not where I needed to be. I don't remember this, John. I was not here.
It's just in the photo right now. It looks like you and me here.
What? I don't. What do you mean? I only see there.
Elaine, you see yourself and Haley in that photograph.
Do you does and then I'll point and there's like, but Haley, is it instead of John in the place of where John sees himself? Cool. Okay. Like no, I just see it's me and Haley. Okay. I wonder, can I use some part of my corrupted aspect to sense what the fuck?
Please do. I imagine you're wearing gloves, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about this. You're gonna want to use a fate point, I think. Or
because I see the play happening. Yep. I see the chat while all of this is just scrolling. It's almost as if I could hear it just clicking up, clicking up, clicking up, clicking up. It's ticking, ticking, ticking. In this moment of just like, I'm already mentally stressed. And I feel that just like, okay, like I can't logic this. I can't use my mind to do this. I can't use my own eyes to see this. So I close my eyes, I take my glove off, and I put my hand to my face and look.
Everyone, she puts her hand to her face. And the skin splits and an eye opens. And she looks through the eye. Give me a fate point.
Oof.
And as you look through the eye, Haley begins to... She looks at you. Not the Haley in the room, but the Haley in the photograph. And she smiles. And it's a smile that just keeps going across her face until it cracks her face. And then it's not Haley, it's Jack, but it's Gideon? No, it's Jack. And he smiles at you, and he walks into the opening of the dig site. But then he's back there in the photograph. But then it's John, and John is looking in horror. And John is saying to you, "Why did you push me? Why did you push me?" And then John just seems disappointed and walks into the cave. And then it's you, next to you, but it's the you now? Well, wait, the you from 2030? You, not the other you. And you sort of disappear, and then it's Haley again. It's Haley, and she starts unraveling. And parts of her body starts being pulled from her. And I need you, Jackie Dash, to roll physique. It's a 5.
Okay. I could do that. 5. 5. I got that. Let me get my character sheet up. You know, as an old fitness sona, I have physique.
You have some physique.
So I do have some physique. I'm gonna throw it and hope for the best.
Okay.
We have
Would you
party like fate points floating, correct?
So you do. You have 3.
Okay.
And we have a bad and a good. The bad is happening right now, by the way.
Which I would posit that we should consider using the floaty group good, because if I opened up this eye, it's going to be bad.
I'm up for whatever the others think, because obviously I'm a little bit selfish about myself. So, what do you all think?
I'm all for it. I think this would be the time.
I say go for it.
All right. What does that fate point get me?
You're going to need all 3 of them. You need all 3 of them to beat that 5. Okay.
Let's do it.
And all 3 of them. And Elaine, as you watch the figure in the photograph, Haley in the photograph, start becoming unraveled, like her skin just starts getting pulled, like a kind of like a digital image, maybe, you know, like the image starts getting streaked, and you start hearing it from Haley. Haley's body starts becoming unhinged. But Haley, you hold your body together how? How?
Do I feel like I'm getting pulled apart? Is this like is it a sensation of like I am rising, much like, you know, when you're a kid and you go deep underwater and you feel a natural buoyancy that you've never felt before?
Yes.
I feel like I take a breath and I kind of channel that, like, you're Haley Howler. Wherever you, like, you pull yourself together. And I think that, like, kind of traveling, that, like, drive that got through those endless nights of posting and responding and building that up keeps Haley together, as I assume that buoyancy just starts to rise higher.
Yes. The bad thing that came from that bane is happening right now. Those 3 fate points that you gave them, which are special points, that she used all 3 to keep her body from unraveling. And what would start off as trickles of blood all sort of coalesce, and you know that you're not going to be ripped apart. But you see the room around you start to dissolve, and you see a room, a white room, a circle, and there are people in a ring chanting in this room. There's some kind of technology you've not seen before, and you are lying on a pedestal. You have a gag on, and your hands are tied, and people are chanting words you've never heard, and you are in some kind of like a scrubs, and you're on a pedestal, and you're seeing things happen, and you all see her pop out of existence. She rubber bands out of time, and then rubber banding back in is a soldier. A soldier, Elaine and Jack, you know quite well. And the soldier just says something out loud. Lydia, what does this soldier say?
God! Did you bring the fur coat I asked for? No? What about the wrench? Did you bring it this time? Elaine, did you bring the wrench?
Renee?
And that's where we're going to hold it for tonight, everyone. That's where we call it for the evening. Ghosts of the Present, my friends, are here. That was our first opening episode, and they're going to have to deal with a soldier who will help them, I hope, destroy the opening to the city of Carcosa. But if, dearest Renee, our soldier, could you add 1 corruption to Elaine's count, please? For using her eye, if you wouldn't mind. I would give a corruption to Haley, but Haley used the special gifts from our chat, and so is not damaged nor corrupted, just not in a great space right now, because there's a ritual going on, and she's gonna be a sacrifice. It is the clock. It is the clock, Lydia. Thank you. Yes. So our heroes are learning that there are some unfortunate things happening, and the timeline's not working right. People know about things they should not know about, and they have to close up that space. And so I'm going to go and just do a little bit of outro with our players, and I would like you all to say who you are, where we can find you. If you would, give some love to somebody else here in the cast, something that you're excited about for next time. And I would like to start with the last person we had, who is our tech, who's been doing all the tech for us and who's been doing amazing work, and who will be our guest next week. Half-Housed Hermit, also known as Renee Kane, one of the first people sent back.
This is going to be fun.
Where can we find you, Half-Arsed? I want to look up in the
Jesus,
sky.
I'm not on screen. I'm not supposed. Okay, fine. You can find me in the ether where I live. I'm Half-Housed Hermit on all socials. I'm also GMing the Great American Witch on Mondays, but normally I'm a faceless voice, also known as Kobold Number 7, here on Weave the Tale. And if you check our Discards, our socials there, I'll be lurking around there under Half-Housed Hermit. Thank you very much for bringing me in already. I'm looking forward to next week and being a little bit out of sorts and a little bit nonsensical. So be prepared.
So excited. And let's go next to somebody who helped send Renee Kane back to the past in a way that is clearly not going to work out so well. Sourfruit Drunky!
Hi, hello. I'm Steph. You can find me at Sourfruit Junkie on the interwebs, on Twitter, Instagram. It's StephMHC, but there should be links all on my pinned tweet. I love drawing monsters, telling stories, and I work as a digital artist over at Magic the Gathering, and that's what I do.
And what are you looking forward to?
Oh gosh. I am looking forward to what the heck walked into that cave and what's going to happen with Renee, because those are some freaking feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I will be very troubled, even more troubled. It's going to be great. I'm so excited. All the gifts for you.
But I will say, for that corruption, you're going to have a little bit of insight when you start seeing things, you know? You'll be able to see through things, some things. I will tell you this, there seem to be others of you, and that might distress you a little bit. That's all. That's all. Speaking of people who are hanging out, I feel like, there's a little bit of stress, a little bit of vision. Somebody who also has a little bit of vision would be Wild Engineer, who was transported back who knows how long. Who are you? Where can we find you? And what are you looking forward to?
Yes, hi. I'm Wild Engineer, at Wild Engineer on Twitch and Twitter. You can find me, aside from here, on Wednesdays on O4A, Open for Adventure, where we are playing some Uncaged. Yeah, just playing an awesome little warlock who takes their morals from fairy tales and whatnot, because I can never go wrong. Gosh, everything about this today was amazing. Just right now, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing why Jack's shadow doesn't like Aura.
Because Jack Shadow does not like Aura, and she seems very nice. I mean, she just wants to make art, you know? Speaking of Jack Shadow, other Doc, who are you? Where can we find you? And tell us what you're looking forward to.
Oh, this was great. But plugs first. I'm Jim. I am Other Doc on both Twitch and Twitter. And I fail to maintain a website at jimyesthatjim.com, but it has links to my various media and thingies. I'm a writer, streamer, and podcaster. Yeah, mostly, most of the stuff I'm doing is on my Twitch channel right now, twitch.tv/otherdoc. I am on Sunday afternoons. I play in a Dark Matter campaign run by Origami Shuriken. And then on Tuesday evenings, right now, I'm running a short campaign of Urban Shadows set in present-day Rome. We're having a lot of fun with it. It's been really cool. But as far as things today, my God. Yes, no, I love how Trooper, I love how you're weaving everything together with this. This is so neat, getting into this sort of the collaborative space of this whole thing again, and just seeing how the story unfolds. I'm really I just have to say Jackie Dash, you're nailing it with the with the banter. This is awesome, with the back and forth with Jack, that's very I'm loving it. But as far as what I'm looking forward to, is really finding out what the I'm looking forward to two things. I mean, one thing minorly, I love to know what's happening with the timeline. But really, what I'm looking forward to right now is just the sheer piles of drama that we will be coming out through for just everything we have immediately in front of us, even only in this scene. I'm really looking forward to navigating that. That's going to be a lot of fun. But this has been very cool. Thanks very much.
Oh, I'm excited. Speaking of drama, hey, Jackie Dash, I've got a pitch for you. Would you like to star in the play The King in Yellow? I mean, you put out the tweet already. You know, like, we'll talk about how, like, maybe you could star in the play. I just...
Haley's all about it. He's all about trying new things and getting out there and learning experience. But yeah, I'm Jackie Dash. I'll both on the Twitch and Twitter. JAKIDASH. My bell is hidden from me, but thank you. correct. Screams happen on the show. I want to say that I'm really excited to be back in the Cthulhu sphere, and I want to just give a lot of props to just this team about, we talk a lot about what do we want to do, and all of us are like, let's get messy with it. And feeling that vibe means that I feel comfortable making the bad decision because I know it's going to be like a really cool story. So I want to like give a shout out and say thanks for the team. Thanks for being really like verbal with like being what's cool and stuff. And I'm looking forward to everyone getting a little bit messy. Everyone likes that hot, messy goop of a team.
I am Trooper SJP. I am your GM, also the King in Yellow. Yeah. And I want to thank chat for the support you've given us today. The 15 subs kept our dearest Haley without a whole lot of damage and corruption. And I'm just going to say that the more corruption people have, the worse it is. Lydia, are you there?
Yes, my dear. Always.
Could we show the chat the timeline?
Naturally.
Sure. So, when bad things happen, like people start getting corrupted, then what ends up happening is that our other people, the villains of the world, get to mark off a little bit of excitement. And if they get to mark off a lot of excitement, a lot of corruption, it's not going to go well for our players at all. But if our players can vanquish these things, defeat their ghosts, fight back, they themselves will be able to sort of make the timeline better. At the moment, the timeline's a little sketch. So we're just gonna, see how that goes. Thank you, Lydia. I just wanted them to see all the drama. Ooh, that was a great transition. And I'm excited. I want to thank everybody here for helping them out. I also really want to thank Kitchen Bratlin for that Ghosts of the Present, because that aspect's gonna just be exciting. No, y'all players, if you can think of a way to invoke that into your benefit, certainly do. But you can find me. I'm Trooper SJP. You can find me on the internet. You can find me on Twitch over here. What is today? Today's Saturday. Tomorrow is Sunday. You can find me at Kobold Press for Into the Southlands from 5 to 7 Eastern. Or you can find me, and then after that, you can find me for Romance the Blue Rose, a Blue Rose game over at Praxagora this Bephoria at 8 p.m. Eastern. Big deal, though, is at Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern on my channel, Trooper SJP. I GM a Fate campaign set in the French Resistance. Not so much with the ghosts, but also some drama. And so you can catch me in all those places. And I want to thank all of you for watching. And I really hope we can see you next week when they're going to maybe visit their hometown Carcosa. John. Oh, John, I've got so many exciting plans for John and his hometown of Carcosa. It'll be fine. Take care, everybody. We are going to raid, by the way. We're gonna do our outro trailer, which was made by Sam and is amazing, and I love it. And after that, we're going to raid Penny for a Tale. So if you all stick around, we can do a raid together and give some love to our sister channel. And so, have you seen the yellow sign?
These are the tales we weave. Tales of magic. Tales of mystery. Tales exploring the beyond. And while we continue to grow, even more adventures await. In the depths of the unknown. Will you join us in the telling?